Hi, my name is Barbara LeDuc. Last March, my grandson was taken to the hospital with type 1 diabetes. And a week later, he went to see a diabetes doctor. And my grandson and I went in, and I said to myself, oh no, that there was an interpreter there that I was not satisfied with. And she didn't interpret in a way that I could understand. I was very unhappy. And I just had a sort of a nagging upsetness that really interfered with my being able to be there with my grandson. I couldn't understand what was going on. I was overwhelmed. And when I was scheduling my next appointment, the interpreter said, I want to interpret for you for the next appointment. She was from Lutheran Social Services. And I said I did not want her because I didn't understand her. This is a really life and death thing. This is my grandson. He was very sick. And I told Lutheran Social Services that I did not want who I could work with, but they wanted to have the same interpreter for me. I'm sure people were frustrated with me because I made my opinions very, very loudly known to people. So thank you for copying my signing from the front, but I didn't want to come to the front of the room. Hi everyone, my name is Thomas Minch. I live in the Portsmouth area, and I work as a mental health professional, and I've done that for more than 12 years in 4 different states. I recently moved from Florida back to New Hampshire, and have been working with a new deaf client at Community Partners in Dover. My focus is to talk about mental health services and the needs of mental health services in the deaf community. In New Hampshire, we only have one agency that is providing mental health services assistance, and it's the Greater Nashua Mental Health Agency, Community Mental Health Agency in Nashua. That's where it's located. But we have clients who live in the Portsmouth area. We have clients who live in the North Country. We have clients who have aged out of a program where they have been served at the Austin School for the Deaf in Vermont, and they will be coming back to the state as soon as they graduate. And I am the only person who's able to provide a staffed day program for them in ASL. So I'm certainly not going to be able to travel to provide individual services for 4 different people. I'm here to talk about the need for an assisted living center or a group home for people who are deaf, who have other disabilities, and who have mental health issues, where they can come together in a central location so that more people can be served and receive more support. At the present time, I do have 1 client, and there are 3 other clients who are on a waiting list that I'm unable to serve. I can't accept them. I'm only able to serve 1 person at this time. A new staff person was just hired, but that is also insufficient. I'm advocating for a center so that people could come together in a congregate fashion, where transportation could be provided for people wherever they live, so that they could come to the centralized location. We feel this is a great service that's missing in New Hampshire. And again, I mentioned that I've had experiences in 4 other states that provide this type of service, and New Hampshire does not. We need to focus on the needs of these people who have significant gaps and need significant services. And I know, Christine, you're here, and Cynthia, I know that I have support from other people who are providing mental health services who also see the need. Cynthia works in Nashua. I work with, we collaborate occasionally. So again, we are looking for services to be established, more services, centralized services. The need is evident, but you know, maybe if I could clone myself and become 5 or 6 different people, I could be spread all over the state, but we haven't got the technology for that yet. So I'm asking for you to consider this. Thank you very much for your ears and for listening to us. And I hope that you will be able to find in your heart and know that the right thing to do is to help us provide services that are so greatly needed in our community. Thank you for your time and attention. Well, hello again. Actually, I did have one other point. And again, I'm going to make this comment for Amy Nelson. I'm representing her comments. And this is about therapists, mental health providers. We need to hire more deaf therapists. We can't be serving the community with having only 2 therapists in Nashua. We see the need in the Seacoast. We see the need in the Keene area. The Nashua Mental Health Community Center are doing as much as they can. They need to be replicated. They can't possibly address the need all over the state. Some of the clients who are currently receiving mental health support system services in Nashua have to drive to Nashua from wherever they live all over the state for their counseling needs, for support, advocacy, services, otherwise, and therapy. Or the therapists are driving all over the state, which means that their time isn't being used very effectively. Do I have it, Amy? Anything else? Also, we have no AA program. We have no drug and alcohol programs. We have no programs for people who have sexual and domestic violence issues. The community has a whole array, and we don't have those services. Those are programs and services that are all over the state for the non-deaf population, but the deaf population has no access to those programs, and that's a huge issue for us. And perhaps the deaf population is not as visible to you as we need to let you know that there are many, many, many deaf people all over the state of New Hampshire, and many of them are isolated and invisible to the general population. And now I get my point, so thank you again for your time.
Loud voice.
Oh, you have to use this hot.
Okay.
So I just want to add to Tommy's comment that not only are there people coming back from Austin who are going to need these services, there are people now who are receiving services from hearing group homes and hearing agencies with hearing staff members. Some hearing staff members who, sorry, I'm not going to go there. I recently interpreted a meeting. Oh, you're videotaping me. Where there were about 8 hearing people in the room, the nutritionist, the sister, 2 sisters, the case manager, the day program staff, the employment staff, the house person who let this deaf guy live in her house. All of them talked as though, I mean, they needed a certified deaf interpreter in the room. They knew they needed that. It was last minute, they couldn't get it. The meeting kept being postponed, they had to do the meeting, we got that. So I went, I tried my best. The man just sat there and smiled and nodded. And they asked him, have you met your goals of exercising 5 times a week? And then they would say, oh, you're lying, you did not, come on. And I kept repeating to them, he doesn't understand this meeting. He knows this meeting is about him. He doesn't understand anything that's going on. The goal that they set for this man for the year was to learn 10 signs. This man grew up in deaf schools with deaf people in the deaf community. He's in his 60s now. So I guess after he graduated high school, probably, he came back to the state, and this is what he got. After the meeting, his sister said to me, what was that you said we needed to get? I said, a CDI, a certified deaf interpreter. "Oh, we'll try harder for next year." So that's the next time he'll see sign language. And I said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you might as well have this meeting about a puppy, a cute little puppy. That's how everyone in this room talked about this man. Not my role, I don't know. And this is a separate topic, so you have to start the timer all over again. My husband, who's deaf and does not want to get up, I'm going to speak for him. He is in need of counseling services. He had counseling services for a time with a hearing woman. They tried, they couldn't connect. He transferred to a deaf man who was in the state for a short period of time, and then he moved back to Washington, D.C., and now my husband, who's a very strong ASL user, is not going to benefit from counseling services from two young hearing women who are just learning sign. And the only way that I can even fathom this in my own mind would be to think, how would I feel if the only choice I had was to go to a counselor who just moved here from Asia, who's learning English? You would spend so much time trying to get past the language barrier that when are you going to get to the good stuff? When are you going to heal? When are you going to get better? My husband's been sober for 9 years. There's no AA in the state for him, which I know is a separate issue. No interpreters. So counseling is like the backup plan? Nothing. That's it. Thank you.
Share a personal story. That's very touchy. My husband is on medication, a combination of meds, and he was at Elliott Hospital and had no interpreter services. The situation was very frustrating. I had no communication access. He had no communication access. The agency that used to be called the National Community Council of Nashua, now called Greater Nashua Community Mental Health Services. And they had an emergency center that people would go to, but that has closed. So where are the services for deaf people who need that kind of service? They don't exist in New Hampshire. I don't want my husband to go back to Elliott Hospital because of the situation that we had there and how frustrated we were. Does anybody else want to speak about mental health services?
So I just wanted to mention that I work at Northeast Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services in the referral department. I've worked there since 2005, so I feel like I have a number of years working with the deaf and hard of hearing community. Some of the things I've seen more recently are the other disability organizations in the state have staff who are working with people who are deaf and have other disabilities, and these other organizations employ staff who know maybe 50 signs. So who just know very basic signs like milk and help and more. And that really doesn't serve someone who's deaf and uses sign language. So I just wanted to say that I kind of felt like her comment was getting towards that. So I want to make that point clear that these deaf people who have other disabilities, their deafness is being ignored when you have employees, staff who are working with them who don't know sign language, who know maybe 10 or 12 signs.